Hi, welcome to Teen Pride Book Talk. My name is Lucy and I'm here today to tell you about one young adult book title that is inclusive and representative of folks in the LGBTQIA plus community. The book that I have to share with you today is a really interesting and different read. It is called All Out, and that is The No Longer Secret Stories of Queer Teens Throughout the Ages. This is edited by Saundra Mitchell, and it is a collection of 17 short stories that range in history from the late 14th century all the way up to 1999. So they're all historical. It's historical fiction. It crosses genres. So there's some fantasy, there's a horror story, there's some that's just traditional historical fiction. And the stories exist all over the world, so genre and geography. And all of the authors and or the characters in the stories exist across the queer spectrum. So these stories have reimagined, in some cases, traditional stories and replaced some of the characters with queer characters, or they're new stories and they're telling about an historical period and letting us know about some of the queer folks who might have been existing at that time. Ultimately, all of these stories figure characters that live and love and shape the world around them. They have adventures, they have triumphs, there are stories of self-discovery, and there's just a huge variety of things to read in this book. For instance, the first story by Anna Marie McLemore is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood set in war-torn Mexico in the 1870s, featuring a transgender soldier. And it's interesting, in her author's note, she mentions that she wanted to reclaim a well-known fairy tale like Little Red Riding Hood, but put characters in it who represented the community that she's proud to call her own. So McLemore is a beautiful writer, and she says that her transgender character is also a tribute to many assigned at birth females who fought in wars throughout history as males. So that is an interesting story where there's a real historical context behind it that she has placed. Then that we go to 1999, it's New Year's Eve, so Y2K is imminent. And there are two girls who used to be great friends and they've had a falling out, and they kind of rediscover why that might be, and they spend New Year's Eve together. There's another story with two friends, female friends, it's 1994 in Seattle, and they are mourning the loss of Kurt Cobain, the musician who's just killed himself. And through this period of mourning, or through their emotional upheaval, they kind of learn something about how they really feel about each other. That's called Molly's Lips, that one by Dahlia Adler. And another historical story, well, they're all historical. Another story that has a real historical reference is a story by Melinda Lowe, which takes place in the 1950s in San Francisco. And it has characters in it who are male impersonators or trans men. But at the time, there really were male impersonators, as they were known in San Francisco, who worked at nightclubs that mostly catered to lesbians. So it's just authors giving voice to real people who existed throughout history. And then there are some reimaginings. There's a Robin Hood story in here where Robin Hood is actually a trans man, and the sheriff of Nottingham Forest is a female in pursuit of him. So it's just flipping a lot of gender norms on their head. And there's a story in here that's really chilling. It's a horror story. Takes place in Massachusetts around the time of the witchcraft scare. And it has these two boys who are trying to escape the town they live in because the town believes highly in the importance of sacrificing children in order to keep the witches at bay. So there's really a lot in this book. As I said, there's 17 stories, and the authors are names that you might recognize from YA. As I said, there's Anna Marie McLemore, Melinda Lowe, Cody Keplinger. So those are just some people that you might have read their books before. But the other thing that I love about a collection like this is that you might discover an author whose work you've never read. You might read this story and think, I've got to read more of that. And this is a really great way to do that. At the end of the book, there are author bios, so you can learn more about what they've written. And also, with a collection like this, there's no reason why you have to read it from front to back. You can dip in and out of it. You can just read some of the stories that interest you. So I found it to be a really fun and entertaining read. Also very informative and very imaginative. So I highly suggest that you pick up All Out, which is edited by Saundra Mitchell. This is a wonderful collection of short stories.